a team called Talent, Learning and Culture.
Okay.
And I joined specifically in culture in the beginning, and now, of course, it's expanded into talent and learning because we want to make talent and learning a culture within AirAsia as well. But culture is basically how, people always talk about culture. What is culture, right? Basically, it's how a community or how we do something. How we do something, right? The unwritten rules of society is culture. So the unwritten rules at work, you have all the SOP and rule book and employee handbook. Those are all written. But what about the unwritten rules? What are your norms at work? What are your values at work? What's your belief system? What does your company believe in? And that's where the culture team comes in. What do we believe in as all-stars? We call ourselves all-stars at AirAsia. So we don't use the word employee, we use the word all-star. Because we are all stars. And so the culture team is not very big. It's a very small team. But we have had the culture team since day one at AirAsia. Not many companies have it. So it falls under the scope of people and culture, which is, other companies call it human resource.
Okay.
And
that's fun.
The interesting thing about, we sit on the periphery of human resource, basically, right? We communicate stuff. We don't do the hiring. We don't do the
you don't do the recruitment part. Okay.
No. We do the fun part, I would say.
So basically, once they're in and they're an all-star, then your job is mainly to train and engage with them.
Engage.
All right. So, of course, with air travel in turmoil during the pandemic, I think aviation was the first to be hit badly. Businesses, of course, had to pivot towards new avenues. I know I have pilot and cabin crew friends who have resorted to other business. I've got a girlfriend who's opening up a cafe because her husband's stuck in Hong Kong, who's a pilot. I've got another one who has gone back into TV, doing production because he was with cabin crew. Some have offered e-hailing services just to make ends meet. It must be really tough for you to have colleagues who were, it was reported in the media that they were laid off. I mean, some. Either being laid off or not having work, or because the industry is quite small. It's not just about AirAsia, it's about the other aviation companies out there, and I'm sure everyone was hit badly. So it must have been tough for you because you love working with people. These are your family members at the end of the day, right?
Definitely. It's it would be an understatement if I said that 2020 was all positive and it sailed by, but no, it's been a very tough year for the industry and for a lot of us, no matter which industry, hospitality, leisure, as long as you are basically providing service or some kind of service, food and beverage or anything, it's been hit very, very hard.
When it first happened, right, Achilles, when they said, okay, MCO, 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks. I still remember the day. What was in your head? I mean, what were you and the team going through? Because obviously, okay, cannot go anywhere. This is just going to stay here. What was going through your head?
I will tell you this. When various countries had different times when they locked down, but it was around the same time in the ASEAN region.
Correct.
So AirAsia is very ASEAN specific. So when I have colleagues across ASEAN, and we are the whole ASEAN team comes together. But basically when Malaysia got into, MCO or lockdown, I remember I was one of the last ones to leave the office because I went around the office to tell people, please clear your desks, take whatever you need. And then we were writing the comms message together with a colleague from the internal comms team. We were writing the message for our chief people officer to put out for all our staff. Like, okay, how is the next 2 weeks going to be, right? So, and that was that. And then, okay, I remember we said, okay, tomorrow is lockdown. So we said, let's have Japanese dinner together. So I had it with my colleague, which is Joyce. I'm sure she's tuning in right now.
Hi, Joyce.
Joyce and Michelle. So we had Japanese dinner, yeah. And then we went back home not knowing, because there's no rule book, there's no guidebook. Here you go. This is what you do for lockdown.
Right.
So it was very, very reactive. We don't know what is going to happen. So we said, okay, it's 2 weeks, whatever. Right?
And then when it prolonged again and again and again, and then it was quite indefinite. What were your thoughts then?
That was when it became evident that this is not going to go anywhere. This wasn't like something that we had dealt with, because earlier on, we've been in existence for a long time, AirAsia. This year is our 20th year. We've gone through a lot of different crises. We've gone through SARS, H1N1, all sorts of flus. So we thought of it like, okay, we had like guidelines to follow.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, okay. But then things happen like it happened. Everyone knows, right? And so then there was the time of reckoning when our boss said, you guys have to start figuring out how to engage with 20,000 employees. How do we do it? Normally we do big events. Normally we do a lot of fun things at AirAsia.
When the bosses said you have to engage, meaning what? To motivate them back, or to what was
everyone's working from home, right?
Right.
First we had to come up with how to work from home, because there is no rule book in the world how to work from home at that time. This term WFH, work from home, it's so new. And then we were like, wow. So the whole culture team started brainstorming, how can we engage? So we have a wonderful platform, of course, internal platform that we use. So we were actually very well prepared to work from home. As crazy as it sounds, we are a very, very digital company. Even before all this COVID and all happened, we were striving towards digitalization.
I see.
So that journey began about 3 years ago. We call it the AirAsia 3.0. So we were already having a lot of tools, and coincidentally, we adopted Zoom just about a month or two before all this.
So you guys were ready, and again with no idea that this was going to happen.
With no idea, of course, right? We don't have a crystal ball, but we were well equipped with a lot of the new tools, the tools that we required. So a lot of companies didn't have these tools. But we had the tools. So we were then trying to figure out, okay, how do we engage with our staff? Okay, we can do town halls, because it's very important to have town halls. So we had town halls, we had a lot of things. We even had origami classes, mental health talks. We had yoga. It's not only about work at AirAsia. It's a community, it's a culture. So we want to have that. So how do we keep that we have in the office now, but we bring it to your living room or your workspace at home? So
why do you think that was important to still maintain that? To maintain that same engagement that you have?
People will go crazy because they're all cooped up at home. And people can say, you can lock yourself up for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Maybe you can survive that, but not for an extended time. And on top of that, a lot of our employees are quite young, relatively young, and maybe they're not also from the area of the airport, or they're not with family, right? They're mostly alone. So how do we keep them occupied? Normally they have their coffee, their tea together with colleagues. Our life surrounds, we spend more time with our colleagues than our family members. So it's very important to have that culture of community, or sense of community. And that's what we did. We didn't have a rule book, but we just figured it as it went along.
I think everyone around the world just had to sort of figure it out. I know a friend of mine who was selling seats, right, for auditoriums, cinemas, and sports stadiums. But of course, naturally, with gatherings, no way, right, all taking a back seat. He then actually resorted to designing extremely comfortable work-from-home working recliners. And I think that sort of redefined his business. Everyone had to find ways to make themselves relevant in this during this COVID-19. So what do you think was important or is important skill sets for people out there who, let's say, those who in cabin crew who are now unable to fly? I don't know what's the latest right now. Are they allowed to fly or not? I cannot keep up.
As we all know, the borders are still closed internationally. Of course, domestic flights, there are some limited flights going on. But internationally, we know our Malaysian borders is not open.
Yeah.
And we don't know when is it going to reopen, right? But one thing great at AirAsia, your question was what skills are needed?
Yeah,
right?
what skills are needed? What can they do?
Needed? So we managed to reskill a lot of our cabin crew, pilots, engineers, and all who are in operations, because the people in operations are mostly impacted, of course, due to borders not open and all. So we have managed to reskill so many people, our cabin crew and all, into tech roles. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Into tech roles, into customer happiness roles, into all sorts of different roles, because they have a lot of skills, right? And they have great communication skills, our cabin crew. We have won awards over awards. I don't even remember how many awards we've won. But our cabin crew, I was a cabin crew before for many years. I started my journey at AirAsia as a cabin crew, moved on and did a lot of different things throughout my career in AirAsia. But, we are the most trained, one of the most trained and most harshest trained also, because, we have so short time to learn so much. And, because we need to save money, we are a low-cost airline. We need to save money. So our training is really condensed.
Right.
And so our cabin crew, our pilots have now been reskilled. We came up with this whole Red Beat Academy, which is reskilling. It's a collaboration with Google. And it's an academy, a tech academy. And cabin crew, pilots all started joining these programs. And we roll out all sorts of other different programs to reskill people. So
how did it work for them? I mean, so now that they've reskilled their jobs or their roles, then are they applying it to whatever they're supposed to be doing now, or how does it work?
Now they have transitioned into totally different careers.
Within AirAsia or
within AirAsia.
Oh wow!
Within AirAsia. So that's the beauty of it. Digitalization is so important, and I don't know whether you know it or not. But because aviation is hit so badly, but we have moved into our digital space a lot. We've rolled out the AirAsia Digital, which is AirAsia.com. We don't only sell airline seats at this time. We sell anything from groceries to food. I don't know, we have a restaurant as well, Santan.
Correct.
There
and this all took place during the lockdown.
You see, I do the onboarding for the AirAsia group, right? Onboard new people. And last year when I changed my presentation, just recently I changed my presentation, I was so amazed. 3 years down the line, we started the AirAsia 3.0 journey. And we were, making, ways towards that digital transformation. But we didn't really have the time to really sit down and work through that whole transformation.
So this sort of accelerated this plan of you guys. Memang ada plan pun. Right.
Definitely. It really let us sit down and rethink how because when you are pushed into a corner, it's either you emerge successful or you fail, right? So we don't want to fail. We are world's best. We want to emerge. So then all sorts of different lines of business came upon. And so successful. And I see so many of my previous cabin crew friends, previous cabin crew colleagues, all going through different roles, because they joined my onboarding, right? And I'm like, oh my God, you. So it's very nice to see, staff being able to reskill themselves. And so to employers out there, I would like to tell people out there that please give your staff a chance to reskill themselves. It's so important. The staff need your support to be reskilled, and that's very, very important.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, you've got a motto here that it's not just about now everyone can fly, but it's always about the people, right? So it's
Yes.
great to know that I mean, of course, there's going to be one or two layoffs, but at the end of the day, you want to try and retain as much employees under you guys for as long as you can. And
Of course,
and
they
by
are
doing this, you have to
gems.
reskill. Yeah, you reskill them to see how they can add value to the company without being redundant. That's really a great thing, you know. I know that. So it's basically they've taken this time off to learn new things. Like, I've got some other friends who went and took like a completely different course altogether. Now I understand, Achilles, speaking of which, right, how I'm going to lead this into, you are able to converse in 6 languages. That's just so amazing. Like I want to learn my Kadazan also, like I'm really struggling. So like 2, 3, 4 languages already, like I'm struggling. You've also taken certs, licenses under your belt that adds value to your role. I think this is a great time for people to invest or discover new skills to remain relevant, like how you were saying, how your your friends, your colleagues were all reskilling themselves to be relevant,
Yeah.
right?
So, you know, in this situation, you're at home. Now we are in 2021. 2020, it was very reactive, right? We didn't have a book to go by. We just like, this hit us, then we do this. We try and error. But as we go into 2021, let's look at it to be instead less reactive and more proactive. So now you know that 2021 is not going. It doesn't look like
It's not gonna end so soon.
Like 2020. It looks a lot like 2020. At least for the first half of this year.
Correct.
We have to be positive still, right? But we know, at least for the first half of the year, it may look a little bit very similar to 2020. So the ultimate question you have to ask yourself is, what am I going to do? Am I going to be reactive or am I going to be proactive? So I choose to be proactive, definitely. And people out there should be proactive. So now you have this 6 months or 8 months or whatever month you have ahead of us, right? All of us. Now we have 14 days. We know we have 14 days a lockdown. What are you going to do in that 14 days? You can take up a new skill. You know, I learned so much cooking in 2020. You know, cooking is a wonderful skill. We take for granted in Malaysia, we got good food everywhere. We can just go out and buy anything we want. But I remember ordering from, I won't say the brand, but I remember ordering food, right, from one of these apps. So, and the food came, I paid like 50 ringgit for it. But it wasn't really to my liking. That was like the defining moment. I said, no, I'm going to start cooking myself.
Because you've never cooked before, or you cooked makan lah.
I've cooked here and there, but not really cooked, right? And then I was like, what's so difficult? Let's try. My mom had lots of cookbooks. My mom was an amazing cook. So I started flipping them. Okay, cook one dish and another dish. And I started cooking, and today my dishes are amazing. I think better than restaurants.
But that's just it. At the end of the day, you know, you're such a positive person. You choose to be reactive. But at the end of the day, like, you still got a job. Proactive, sorry. But then those who are reactive, okay, for instance, sorry, terbalik, is those who have lost their jobs, who have been laid off. What would you advise them then? Because different now
being
they're
reactive and start today being proactive. Because yes, I admit we cannot plan for everything. We can't. That's not possible. It will drive you crazy. But now we know already. It's somewhat looking like very similar, like part 2, right? Part 2 of a television
like
series.
today of all days that we have to start our lunch. It's MCO
Yes.
first day.
First day. So we know it's going to be part 2. Stop the complaining and start somewhere, because you have to start somewhere. Take up a new skill. There's so many free courses. You know, in the year 2020, I myself and my team did the most studying and learning. We got certified in so many different things. You know, I took a course on diversity, on inclusion in the workplace. I took courses like getting rid of bias, or what is bias, because bias is innate. I completed my Six Sigma course, and all that, a black belt Six Sigma. So I completed all that in the year 2020. So I urge everyone to start picking up new skills. If you like YouTube, you like Facebook, you like all this, then take up courses like content creation and all, because it's so important right now. We have to learn. Like, learning Zoom was another new thing. I had to learn Zoom. I had to try, because I do a lot of employer advocacy, so we have to learn a lot of new things. So pick up new skills, and don't say, oh, it's going to be expensive, it's bad, it's this, it's that. You know what? There's so much free content on the website. We don't need to go for classes. You can get a Harvard certification, education online for free. So take those opportunities, and it's really time for us to start learning new skills, and don't just settle.
Let's say for those who may have lost their jobs, okay, how can they use their existing skills to move into a completely different industry? What are your thoughts on that?
Look.
Or rather, what are their options? What can they do?
I was a cabin crew, right? Long ago. I could have remained in the cabin crew department, and I was a cabin crew executive at one point, doing in-flight, right? And all that, and sales and all. So you can go into those traditional roles, like, because you're good in language, you can communicate well. So sales is a kind of a very straightforward role that anyone who is good in language or good in communication can pivot into quite fast, right? But other roles, if I know a lot of people like social media, why not go into the role of content creation? E-marketing, there's so many digital marketing and all, because you don't need, and then some people will go and say, oh, I don't have a degree, but you have a degree, so it's different. No, it's not different. Because in the degree programs, you don't learn all these things. When I studied mine, like more than 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 20, there wasn't such things, right? But we learn new skills as we go along. So learn new skills. I implore everyone to start learning new skills, re-skill themselves and upskill themselves, because these are so important in today's world. Whether we like it or not, digital is here to stay. And
speaking of digital, Achilles, when I was trying to stalk you, I found you on a particular website, and that basically had your profile. But I couldn't find you on Instagram. I couldn't find you on Facebook. So for someone who's like, digital is coming, we've got to. It's strange how. Or maybe you're on like a different IG name handle. I don't know. Are you not on social media? And
no,
if not,
I am not on social media.
Why?
There's a reason why I'm not on social media. I decided that about 10 years ago that I do not want to be on social media.
Like, not even on Facebook?
No. Wow. However, I would admit it. I would admit it that I understand how all of it works, and I study how it works on the background. Right. Because of my work in engagement with our employees and all, we have a similar site that is very much like social media, right? And algorithms and all. I'm interested in that. I like the numbers and algorithms and whatever. Not how it works, how things work. I love how things work. But whether or not you want me to be on it, no, I decided not to. I have a profile, but I don't use it for like myself. That profile is specifically just for me to explore the functions of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't use it. I don't post anything. It's more to explore the functions, because now there's market.
Is it because you're just very private like that, or what is it?
I'm a very social person.
Exactly.
When it comes to, but I decided I want real friends. So 10 years ago. I don't need 1 million followers to define myself. I have my wonderful family members and wonderful friends. I don't need more than that. And sometimes I thought about it, how I could have been an influencer and earned quite a lot of money, But maybe one day I was thinking actually seriously to start maybe a YouTube page or something like that, but to impart knowledge, more of knowledge.
Yeah.
to impart knowledge.
I think you do
Not
fantastic in that because you already do a lot of training and engagement with your
Yes.
colleagues. So you might as well just, have a little
Because I learn a lot
series on
actually
that.
from YouTube. I learn a lot from YouTube. I learn a lot of things actually from social media. But I don't like to post personal things like, oh, today is such a terrible day. I hate this person. I hate that. There's a lot of negativity in social media. And I think people who consume a lot of social media can, their lives can be blurred between reality and, and virtual reality. So I wanted a very distinct, like I have a real life, not a virtual life.
Fair enough.
So sorry, like Kim Kardashian and all those people out there.
I totally agree. I remember putting my Instagram on private, and then I started getting all these calls like, berapa you punya follower? Like it was determined how many followers before I could get a job, and I felt like at the same time like why is it like that? But I had to go with the flow because that's just how it is in my industry. Now, still on your industry, air travel is slowly picking up again. But I really, really doubt that it's ever going to return to yesterday's normal. So what steps or actions will be or has been implemented by AirAsia in order to continue capturing the market share? Because, okay, for instance, you were saying how your colleagues are now reskilling themselves into going digital. But then, at the end of the day, you're such a positive person. I'm sure the whole team is. We do want to be able to fly again.
Of course.
Like across international borders, right?
Of course. That is one of my biggest passion. Like my hobby is going places and seeing things, right? So when are we going to fly again? We don't know, right? It really depends on when the borders are open. Of course, we want to fly. Everyone wants to fly. Our cabin crew is eager. Company is eager. I am eager. The traveling public is eager. But we have to follow guidelines. But what are we doing in this time, during this time? Like I told you earlier, we have had to reinvent ourselves or reinvent the wheel. We're moving towards digital. Our digital landscape is really growing. The digital business is also growing and booming. Our cargo business is growing, which is the teleport business. And then we have the big pay, which is e-remittance. And soon I know that we're coming up with like financial products and all. So more towards the digital sphere. And then we're having AirAsia food delivered to your house. So a lot of things. And they've already talked
That's
about
quite smart, of you guys. Because you've got your nasi, your famous nasi lemak and all that. So you might as well,
And we have our own restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So you see, and definitely you're from Sabah, right?
Correct.
Do you miss the Sabah seafood?
Yes, I do. Very
Do you
much.
know you can order Sabah seafood and the same day it gets delivered to you
I
on
didn't know
your
that.
doorstep? Yes,
That's-
you can on AirAsia Fresh. So you can order the big prawns, the crab, and all on our website. And a lot of people don't know this, but because we own the planes, right? So we are flying the planes anyway. So why not you order? So we've partnered with a lot of like the vendors over in Sabah and all, because their business is affected too.
Yeah.
So
it's memang kita jaga kita lah, like
Yes,
help one
and-
another.
And also the farm business, farmers were hit very hard. That's how the farm business came up also. So there's a lot of different, businesses. I'm not the person in charge of all those businesses, but I'm just speaking generally what AirAsia is, moving towards. We are not just confining ourselves to we are only looking at the aviation and we are only looking at flying, because that's not our business. At large, the AirAsia group is now, we are basically a digital business that happens to own an airline. We have one of our businesses airline, and then we have all the other businesses, I think now 17 different lines of business or main lines of business, and growing every day. So it's been a very, 2020, if I want to put it, it's been very challenging, but also it's been very enlightening because we managed to do so much within so little time.
I want to ask a few questions that are coming from the team, from people out there. We've got a question from Karen De Cruz. Unemployment rates are high and people are resorting to opening their own business to make ends meet. How does one re-enter the corporate sector? Should they expect a drop in salary expectation from pre-MCO days? Really good question there, Karen.
I don't do hiring, so I don't know actually salary, how are salaries in Malaysia or generally in the ASEAN community, how is it? But, there's this basic rule, right? Rule of economics. When there's high demand and then low supply, of course, price goes up. When there's low demand and a lot of supply, price goes down. So I believe the job sphere is also subject to those very basic economic principles of supply and demand. So when there's oversupply in the market, I would suggest people to actually don't undersell themselves, but don't wait too long to re-enter the workforce again. Okay. Because the longer you wait to re-enter the workforce, the skills that you have are not compatible to the current skills. And in today's world, it's so fast. You see, we have all this Zoom, and then next on we'll have something else, and next on we'll have something else, right? Yep. It's moving so fast. And now suddenly people are like going away from WhatsApp and now moving to Signal
and Telegram. Oh, you got the
so
message too, huh? Yeah.
Technology is moving so fast. So if you don't keep up, so within your time now, if you don't have a job, make sure you are reskilling yourself. Take some courses that you think are relevant. Look online, look at the profiles of people, look at what jobs are coming up, because there are a lot of new jobs, coming up. Like I said earlier, digital marketing, those kind of jobs didn't appear, or content creation that is very focused on social media kind of content creation. All those skills I think are very, very important. Or if you like numbers, analytics, data analytics, you can do a lot of free courses on Google itself, on Google Classroom. So
that's just it. There's a question for you. Can you please share the platforms where you learn those courses mentioned?
Okay, so there's so many, right? Like Coursera.
Yeah, Coursera's good.
Coursera, and there's a few other platforms. But you know what? It's all called Moot. I believe it's called Moot. Moot. Yeah,
okay.
Is the short. Let me just do it. Is it called Moot?
But Coursera is good. You're right, Achilles. And I know that you can actually do freebies. And yes. if you want a certificate, then you just pay a little bit extra. But yeah, if you just want to have the skill, then just go for the free courses. And I think it's quite manageable now. The classes can.
It's up to your own time. You see, I'm not selling a product or anything, right? So all you need to do is just put a little effort and just do free courses online. And then you can find this wealth of courses. I did so many because at AirAsia, we have access also given to our employees, a lot internally, content that we build internally as well as, but don't forget, even the Malaysian government is giving out a lot of grants. I don't know why people are not taking this opportunity to reskill themselves.
But that's just it. You're lucky because AirAsia is very, they're very giving to their all-stars. Not a lot of companies are as baik hati lah. Yes. They're like, work, They don't believe so much on upskilling and reskilling their employees. They don't see the benefit.
If you don't believe in upskilling and reskilling if you own a company out there or if you are an employer, then you are at a loss. Because the biggest asset of a company is not your profits or whatever, it's your people. Your people are your best assets. If you don't take care of your people, don't dream on profits. You may earn profits for a short time, but in the long run, you're not there to stay. You have to take care of your people. I'm a people advocate, and it's very, very important to take care of the staff. Listen to their grievances. We came up with all this product, not because our bosses came up with it, right? It's because the team brainstorm and come up with all these different wonderful new products, new lines of business, how to pivot. You put a team to brainstorm, they can give you wonderful ideas because they know the clients better. So it's time to listen to your staff and invest.
I really hope employers are also listening into this.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. Invest in your people because they are your product productivity will be so much better if you just invest in them. Question from Anthony Chung.
Yeah.
Is a career change possible for someone in their mid-40s? Is it
Why not?
possible?
Why not? Ageism is such a thing we do upon ourselves. Don't be an ageist to yourself. We don't look at, oh, this person is old and all that. But maybe I'm speaking of my own self or our team at AirAsia and all. But generally, don't shoot yourself and say, oh no, I'm old. Be presentable. That is more important. Take care of yourself. Be presentable. And look good in an interview. Speak well. Those kind of things are more important than your age, right? And there's always this rule. Don't put your age or your date of birth on the resume. Don't do that.
Oh, you don't
Yeah.
have to?
No, you
that's-
don't have to.
Because that's not
You
like,
don't have to.
we always assume
No.
we do have to.
Yeah,
Now I've got a
lot
trick.
of people assume.
Ah.
Don't put that in. So
Ah.
yeah, so I've gone through a lot of, because last year we came up with this internal system that we wanted people to upload their resumes, right? The new resumes, because we created this whole new system to find skills, because we know we have a lot of skilled people, but we don't know what skills they have because they've been in the company long and in other roles. So we wanted to give them other roles. So I went through a series of different resume writing courses and all that. Don't put your age on it. That's one, like a tip for you guys out there. I'm not an expert at this, but all the people who are experts at this say don't put your age. And really, it's picking up new skills that's more important than your age. So if you are relevant, your age doesn't really matter.
Nur Zalina says, I made a career change 3 years ago from the IT industry to education ministry. It wasn't a smooth journey as I started with part-time basis on lecturing. However, with the PKP, it makes things harder. Getting the right and new skills is always a challenge. Whether I upskill or getting a new skill, both has impact on my new career. Can you provide some advice? Wow. That's quite a mouthful there.
So how is it impacting her actually? Maybe she could let us know with a follow-up question. Like, I don't quite get the question.
Whether I upskill or get a new skill, both has impact on my new career. I'm not sure why. Nur Zalina, perhaps you can just explain why you feel it has impacted your new career. Yeah, if you can just type out, and hopefully Angelica will be able to just share it with us. Okay, here's another one. How should a person stay positive during job hunting after the dismissal from a job because of COVID and receiving rejection from job application due to the lockdown and emergency state declared in Malaysia? Things are so uncertain.
I agree.
How can you be positive?
Okay, I am not a mental health professional. However, I give this advice to you based on last year we did many different internal talks with different health professionals. Two things you need to do. You need to put things in two boxes: controllable and uncontrollable. What you can control is applying for the job, is going for the interviews, is preparing, is upskilling, is reskilling yourself. What you can't control is getting rejected, not fulfilling the criteria and all. But that's beyond your control. So if you dwell too much on things beyond your control, you are definitely going to fall into depression, frustration, and all that. And we don't want all that, right, to happen to you. So most importantly, it's okay sometimes to feel like I'm sad, I'm this, I'm that, I'm disappointed. But don't dwell on it too long.
Not too long.
Not too long. I don't know how long is, but, and also very important is to talk to people, to ask people for, asking for help and asking people is not a sign of weakness. If you think that maybe something is not right with your resume, maybe it's not worded right. We don't know, right? Why are you getting all that rejections? Maybe it's not up to date. I don't know. So seek help. Instead of, spending time on social media and all that, go to support groups. Even on social media, there are a lot of different good support groups. go online and start reading and researching. There's a lot of like forums and all that you can go to, and a lot of these resources are free. So exchange ideas and all, and you have the world, people of the world are there to help you out, and that's very important for you to do. So don't give up, don't ever give up, because out of all the rejections, there's someone out there that wants you, and it's not your value, it's just that you're not a good fit for them at that time. That's all.
I
So
like it
it's not
because
about-
you've boxed it. You put it in two different categories. So things that you can't control, it's easier for you
can't
to
control.
you cannot control lah. So it's easier for the heart rather than you focus so much on that. Then it's easier for the heart. Like I cannot control it lah. What to do lor? Never mind lah. Move on. So I
Yeah.
like that you've put it that way.
You have to put it that way, or else you'll go crazy. You definitely will. You go into some kind of frustration and sadness, and no, we don't want that.
And the danger about going into depression is that it will go deeper and deeper. Yes, we
Deeper and-
acknowledge these emotions, but
Yeah.
don't dwell on it for too long. I really like
And
that.
seek help, right?
And seek help.
Yeah, seek help, and that's the best thing that you can do for yourself. And seeking help, again, I tell everyone, it's not a sign of weakness; it's a sign of strength. I've seen
Nice.
therapists, and I've spoken to colleagues. No, it's okay to be weak. You don't have to be strong all the time. So
I like that. And that's very important, especially when you're taking care of your mental health. And I'm so glad that a lot of people are talking about the state of your mental health, because that's so important too. A lot of people
Yeah.
didn't used to think about this before,
So I just want to add, I went to, my mom, tomorrow is my mom's first year's death anniversary.
Wow,
so
so
in
fast, huh?
2000, yeah. So in
Wow.
2020, she passed away, after a long battle with cancer and all.
Right.
So it was very difficult over the years, but I had wonderful, my colleagues and all have been so supportive over the years. AirAsia has been so supportive to me. So when my mom passed away, I was like, oh God, how am I going to go through 2020? So it's all this talking, sharing. Of course, you can be angry, frustrated, all that. Colleagues who love you, friends who love you will understand, and they'll share that. So always confide in people you can trust, you can share. Family is very important. Friends are very important, but choose them correctly, of course. Yeah. Make sure
Yeah,
that
because you
do
were
that
talking,
one.
I think we were having a little interview. I mean, like both of us were just chatting prior to this live, and you were saying how you've got a group of friends you've got a good group of friends, but they keep it small, right?
Yeah. We have like a WhatsApp group now. Everyone can meet each other and all. You do video calls. You just call people and just talk and share. I think those are all very important things to do, especially if you're alone in your house, at home. You don't
For
have
someone
anyone
like
to talk-
you, who's a very people person, it must have been tough for you not being face to face with someone. My husband, who's memang a hermit lah, he's fine just like staying at home and everything. But I'm I'm the social butterfly in the family. So he's like, just Zoom lah. And I'm like, it's not the same, it's not the same, just Zooming. Was it tough for you?
I agree with you, Daphne. I was all alone in a quite a big house. So I'm like, oh God, my mom is no longer here. I'm all alone. It's MCO. I'm locked up in this house.
Right.
What do I do, right? And at that time, I think we had like curfew. We can't go out, this and that. So what do? The only thing you can do is, like I said, you put it controllable, what you can change, and uncontrollable. So what's the next best thing? Pick up the phone and call. When was the last time you called someone? I speak to my neighbor who I haven't spoken before ever. So I like, oh, how are you? Just the normal things. Do some gardening. We have to look at we have to see what we can do. I talk to the plants, but so these are kind of things that I did for myself, which helped me through the year 2020. And I hope that people out there can use. And of course, Zoom is great, FaceTiming your friends. They can't replace that physical touch. But do we have
At least
an alternative?
something lah. At least
Yeah,
they're
do we have
still
an
keeping in touch.
alternative?
Yeah.
We
Okay,
don't
we-
have that alternative, right? So
We
if you
make
don't
do
have
with
that
the best
alternative,
situation
You
then.
make do with the best, and that's what humans who prevail always. They make do with the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is.
I've got some comments, or rather feedback from Facebook here. This is from McTaran Jupiter. Oh, nama pun glamour. I was a medical grad, then I slowly switched to creative media. Then because of COVID-19, I took some classes and certification. Now doing digital marketing. Reskilling is crucial since the transition towards digital economy is accelerating. So he completely agrees with what you just had to say, Achilles. He also says program offered by MDEC last year, such as free Coursera access, really helped many of us to reskill and upskill ourselves. So yeah,
you see,
Coursera
the
is really
government
good.
is giving out all these things. Now I remember it's called MOOC, MOOC. So I can't remember what it stands for, but generally all the free stuff that you can learn or you want to learn new things, it's all categorized under MOOC. It's MOOCs.
MOOCs,
Yeah, so online MOOCs. So that's like, you can just Google that and massive open online courses.
Massive
PDX
open.
and all that.
Okay. So I hope you guys got that. Alice, she says, Alice Hendricks, she says, Magic is a good place too. One of my staff graduated from Magic, moved from marketing to coding. Wow, coding.
See?
So yeah, everyone seems to be going towards digital. If that's the way to go, then embrace it, guys.
And you know, you don't need a degree per se, because all these things that are new, like I'm not into programming and all, but these are very new things, right? Like app building and all. They don't teach these things in university. Maybe at that time when you went to university, they don't teach these things. So don't worry about that, because these are very new things that are coming up. So it's time. If it's not now, it's never. So you better take all these courses now.
Might
in
as
a
well,
year,
can.
or maybe 6 months. You finish these courses. I can't guarantee you a job, but you know, there are better job prospects for you than not doing all this. And a lot of things are free. So people out there, use these resources that are available out there. So many different resources. I learned so many things in 2020.
You know, actually speaking to you, because we were on WhatsApp a few days ago, because I couldn't stalk you over Instagram and Facebook, kan? You're such a positive person, and I've read all about your all-star journey with AirAsia, and I wanted to ask you, do you think, because you bagged like a few firsts, you've bagged like Pioneer ASEAN Crew, you're the first shareholder of AAX, first to fly to Honolulu, there's a lot lah, kan? Lot. And I was going to ask you, what do you think is your star quality? But I think I can safely say it's because of your very optimistic outlook of life. Do you think that's the reason why you're always bagging all these firsts?
And also being very vocal.
Okay.
Or allowed to be vocal. And, you know, I am not a trend follower. I'm always wanting to be a trendsetter. And, you know, ruffle some feathers here and there. Argue and debate. You know, arguing and debating is not a bad thing. You know, if you can do it very well, diplomatically, with your bosses, with your team, you can really put up great ideas. And, you know, it's not about fighting whose idea is the best, but debating, brainstorming. So that's very important. And I think, maybe because I'm quite vocal, like I speak my mind and people hear it. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but most time it works. And of course, right? It can get you in trouble. But so just watch what you say. But generally, yes, being very positive is very, very important to me. I don't like to feel like dwell on sad things all the time. I always say, okay, 1 minute, 2 minutes of like downtime, if you want to call it that.
I think it's still important for you to embrace the downsides, but not too long. Because you can really mellow. I mean, you can really go down the rabbit hole. I went
through a certain kind of, depression. They have two categories, clinical as well as behavioral or something, situational depression. So, of course, I went through what the therapist said, situational depression.
Yeah.
And all when my mom passed away. And all that kind of things, right? And then MCO and whatever not. So, the most important thing is you acknowledge those feelings that you have. And I'm not like, forever happy, happy, happy. No, there are times where you have to sit down alone and just study that feelings and reflect upon yourself, right? So definitely that's the quality. If you said why first, being outspoken or being vocal about things helps. And of course, being positive helps.
Love it. Okay, Nur Zalina has actually added on. So she mentioned about doing a career change. So she said that she has too many skills to take up to boost my career. How to choose the best? Oh,
You have to know what skills you have to know yourself first.
Okay.
Right? When you know yourself, what you're good at, or you can't say like I'm bad at everything, or I'm not good at anything, or I'm good at everything, right? I'm sure you're good at something. See in yourself, if you're good at something, you can do something, take those and try not to like take everything, right? Every single course out there. Do one first. See whether you like it. And then if you don't like it, okay, move on. Choose another course, choose another skill. Find the skill that best suits your, soft skills and all, and what you want at the end of the day. You have to have a goal. You cannot just go aimlessly. Set a goal. If you want to be a frontliner, if you want to be a nurse and all that, then you have to set a goal towards it. You can't like, I want this, but then you do other things, right? Digital marketing and all. You have to set a goal. What is your ultimate goal?
And do it and move towards it. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't create goals for themselves or realistic goals and then break down those goals into heading there. You know what? We've been talking for exactly an hour now. So
Oh, wow.
I know, right? So we've got to say our goodbyes. But before we say goodbye, is there any final thoughts or parting advice for people who are watching right now?
My advice to people is, we don't know what's ahead of us. No one knows. We don't have a crystal ball. But what we can do within our sphere, within our control, seize that moment and seize that and reskill yourself. Do things that is within your control. Don't think about things out of your control. And if that's my only advice for you, don't be reactive for 2021. Be proactive. Now it's only January 13th. Have a goal for the year 2021. Work towards that goal. Don't worry if you fail, but at least you try. So and work. And that's my advice for the year 2021. So
and at least you have something to look forward to, whether you achieve it or not. You've got something to look forward to, right?
You have to have an objective.
Thank you so much, Achilles. It's such a wonderful. I'm so glad we're on WhatsApp, so I can actually get in touch with you because I can't stalk you over Instagram and stuff like that. But you take care wherever you are, and I'll be seeing you when I can. All right?
Definitely, and thank you very much, Daphne, as well as Job Street for having me. It's been a pleasure, and do check out all those wonderful things that we have on AirAsia, all the different lines of product. And Daphne, maybe you can buy your
I want to try my Sabah seafood.
seafood.
Yes. All right, just very quickly, if you're searching for a job, log on to JobStreet to search for jobs. As many companies are still actively hiring on our platform. I actually just sent in my, just sajalah my profile, but I actually added in my age. So maybe that's something that I need to take a tip from you, Achilles. Don't put my age because I'm already in my 40s. So, there's a lot of good variety of roles and positions available. So all you have to do is sign up for a profile with all your details. And I believe JobStreet has all these wonderful, wonderful resources or articles that can help and guide you. You can find it at their www.jobstreet.com career resources. And finally, just to let you all know that I will be having another lunch date this time around with Ramesh Rajandran, who is the Chief Marketing Officer. Do you know, Achilles, that one of the top in-demand jobs right now is marketing?
Yes.
So it's marketing. I mean, besides the fact e-hailing services is like number one, delivery guys are like, who would have thought, right? You being a delivery guy would be like a number one job during the MCO, during the lockdown. But yeah, so delivery guys as well as marketing. So I'll be talking to Ramesh on the 27th of January, same time at 12 to 1 p.m. And if you would like to find out a little bit more about that, head over to JobStreet and register yourself. In the meantime, again, thank you so much, Achilles. Thank you, Angelica and JobStreet team. And I'll be seeing you guys on the 27th. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.